So this thing's been sitting in my garage for about a month. I've kind of moved on to other things, but I thought I would take it out for a road test today and see how it runs. Actually, I just came back. I'm just putting this little segment in there. I had the camera on the tripod and it was absolutely horrible. I don't know what I was thinking, but the camera kept falling over. So when you see all the shots being edited out, just know that that's where the camera fell over every time I tried to shift the car. And then if I shift actually a little bit better than what it looked, but also the tripod was between me and the shifter, and I had to try to work my arm around the tripod, and it was pretty rough. But hopefully you get an idea that the car runs good. Let's see. All right, thanks, guys. Temperature's low. Hasn't started in a month or so, probably. Probably going to take a little time to relearn because I had the batteries and stuff disconnected. So this is probably one of the last videos I do with this car. It's completely wrapped up. Next week I'll put out a video and show you the interior and the exterior and how it came out. But you know, I've really gone through everything. I've torn it down to the head gaskets, rear main oil pan, um, repaired the air conditioning system, uh, put an 85 fuel pump in there to bring up the fuel pressure, changed out or didn't change out the throttle bodies, rebuilt the throttle bodies, um, changed over a line between the two throttle bodies and put a gauge in there so I could boost up the pressure and monitor the pressure. Super Pro bushings all the way around, had the rear out, put seals in the rear. Um, So literally I've gone through this thing front and back. I rebuilt the dashboard once, and a piece cracked like a couple of months after I did it. So I was talking to Beatty and he kind of laughed and he's like, yeah, you can't even believe how many times we've seen that. Just send it to me and I'll put another piece in it. So um, I don't know. So I bought the piece and he charged me an hour to go completely through it. So I thought that was fair. And I did the seats, right? Al Knock in Texas did the seats, and they're beautiful perforated leather seats that match perfectly. Um, I've done a couple pieces of carpet that were really faded out. So the car is completely done. There's really nothing left to do. The air conditioning is ice cold. Um, right now, I'll probably just sell the car because I really bought this thing just to put it back together. Because I'm an old GM mechanic, and this is what I started with was these Crossfire cars. Everybody says they don't run good, but I'm telling you right now, in a couple of seconds, you're going to see this thing runs real good. and real strong. So, is it as good as a brand new car? No, but it still runs good. This thing really handles good with those new bushings in it. Engine runs smooth. I know a lot of people don't seem to like the Crossfire. Said it doesn't have enough power, but it'll still outhandle almost anything on the road. And as far as power goes, I don't know. I think they're much faster with the stick shift than they are with an automatic. That could be proven wrong, but you can keep it exactly in the RPM range that you want it to be in. So I kind of like the stick. Now that we're slowly coming up on 200 degrees, on a 94 it's got to get pretty hot before I can hit the overdrive button. I usually use that for a 5th gear, but with the new suspension parts in this thing, yeah, it's a Z51. It's stiffer than most. Being an 84 with Z51, even in 85, if you got the stiffer suspension, it's not as stiff as the normal suspension in an 84, right? So it's definitely stiffer than the rest of them, but because of that, it also handles a lot better. But we'll see what happens coming up here on this on-ramp. There's the overdrive, right? So now if I put it back in 3rd, it's actually in 3rd with overdrive. So I guess that's where the whole 4+3 comes in. It'll never put overdrive in 1st, but it'll put it in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But at least on this car, it has the C4th gear, before it changes back to overdrive. So once you put it in fourth, turn on the overdrive, it'll go into overdrive or fifth, however you want to look at it. And then if I come on an off ramp, it will go into third overdrive and then second overdrive. And then as soon as I come to a stop, it'll take it out of overdrive and go into first. And then it'll go first, second, third, fourth, and then overdrive again. I'm not quite sure why that is, but once it sees a certain speed, it knocks it out. Traffic's been crazy for the last week or so. Once, what was it? Helene came through. It shut a lot of our roads down, so. See, like I say, that's third with the overdrive. Second with the overdrive. And then there's second. I just turned the switch off. Camera keeps falling over on me. Wow, that's a lot of rims. Well, we're doing about 70 miles an hour, 2,800 RPMs. They hit the overdrive. And we're, what, 2,000 RPM? So, drops it close to 1,000 RPM. Just like putting it in fifth, right? To chop this thing up when I get back home and edit it, because the camera's fallen over on me a couple of times. It will look kind of stupid at it. It's got the exhaust, the stock exhaust on the car. I didn't change anything to it. The catalyst inside the catalytic converter, that I don't know, the converter's empty. There's no catalyst in it. I didn't do it. I don't know if somebody knocked it out or if it just fell out. Over 40 years, they tend to break up and start crumbling into little pieces. if you've noticed this or not, but this car is just so quiet. There's not a squeak or a rattle in it. At least with the fiberglass top, it's that way. If I put the acrylic top in, then the acrylic top does move, lets the car move around a little bit more, makes a little bit of noise, but I prefer the fiberglass top anyway because I'm living in the South and it's too hot with the acrylic top. See, we're still, you can't see my overdrive light, but we're still in overdrive. I'll hold this camera up. Hold the camera up this time. A lot of traffic out here today. Trying to hold the camera as I shift this pain in the ass too. There's third, right, and it's got my foot in it too much to go back to fourth. People say they don't pull up in high RPMs. I don't really. Okay, yeah, 52, 5300, but I'm not sure exactly what you want out of these things. Handles like it's on rails. Smokes the tires pretty easy. It's fun shifting. I don't know what you want. But it's like, oh, you got out the tune port. I will say, I'd love to have the tune port with the 6-speed, but more for the 6-speed than the tune port. Yeah. I will say it's a lot easier to drive a C4 with an automatic than it is with a stick. The pedal area is very tight on a C4. And depending on what shoes I'm wearing, sometimes I go for the clutch and I either tap the brake or push on the carpet. Feet don't really fit in there with a 3-pedal system. You get used to it, I guess, but I was driving somebody's automatic the other day and it drove way better. I should take that back. It was way easier to drive, way more comfortable to drive. You could put both feet down in the pedal area. With this car, I have to keep my my left knee bent so that I have to keep it bent so that I keep it out of the pedal area. The Corvette I was working on a couple of months ago now, I guess. Man, I could keep my left foot down in the beside the brake pedal, and that was kind of nice, leaving my legs stretched out. So, I mean, I'd rather drive a stick, but it's definitely a lot more comfortable to drive an automatic, and not because you can't shift, but because of the room. I mean, even right now, I'm like touching the brake pedal as I let my foot off of the clutch. I have to put my foot up kind of high so where my shoe's a little bit thinner. That way it won't touch anything coming on and off. Right now, it's still trying to figure out the average, right? I think it says 11.5 just because I took it out and just kind of romped on it just for this video, but I've seen it up in the 20s. You know, of course, every time you disconnect the battery, it has to recalibrate. So the only thing it has to go off of is the this drive, which has been ridden kind of hard. Got a typical 1980s shifter throw, right? It's from the back seat to the dashboard. I mean, I've driven worse, but I had my first car was a Pontiac GTO convertible 4-speed car, and that thing, I'm telling you right now, you literally pulled that shifter a foot and a half to try to get it from one gear to the next. It's just so amazing to drive the brand new stuff, especially the Mustangs, I guess is what I'm used to driving, and the shifter throw is just, man, it's like an inch apart from the other gear. You don't have these long throws. Combination of these long throws and trying to hold the tripod up, and I really came up with a really lousy setup to film this thing today. The camera keeps falling over. I can't get my arm in there to shift gears. that's pretty much my vet. Next week I'll show you the outside of it, but I thought I'd do a run around and show you how it kind of runs. It runs real good. I think it runs good anyway. You may not have been able to tell with that tripod and the way I was shifting, but I don't know, it's got great power. I think the Super Pro bushings that I put all the way around on this thing, and it's just as tight as it can be, and so it, you know, works out really good. Air conditioning is freezing in here, so, and that, you know, that's another thing too. You know, we drove this thing around and I really didn't floor it. I brought the RPMs up a couple of times just to show you that it doesn't run out of power. Everybody says they don't go over 3,500 and build power. They definitely do. They build power to 5, maybe a little over 5, and I had the air conditioner on, right? So I don't know. I don't think it's a slug by any means, but all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. You all have a good day.